whispered tarot reading. This will be a pick a card reading, which means you will have the opportunity to pick a deck of cards that speaks or resonates to you, and you will receive a special reading. Today's reading will be a two card spread. It will be a release and receive. Release and receive. So your release card will tell you what is it that you need to let go of in this moment. And your receive card is the card that you should focus on. A card that you should try to apply in your life and to just fixate a little bit more on than you normally would. So release and receive. It's a 2-card spread. Now, what I'm going to do is run through my setup here. I'm going to talk to you about what's on this table. I'm going to shuffle and deal out the cards, and I'm going to put a special stone or crystal totem on top of each set of cards, and that will be how you choose your reading. So this video will be longer. I will probably put some timestamps below so you can see each individual spread and you can listen to your individual reading if you would like to do it that way. Or if you are here just to relax and to reduce stress and anxiety, then I encourage you to listen to the entire video. I hope you enjoy it. And it is daytime, so I'm so sorry if you hear anything that's a little bit annoying, but I'm gonna do my best to cover it up. Okay, so just to start out here, I want to let you know that I have this little incense holder to my right, and incense are said to be a clearing and cleansing energy. It's something that you like to have when you're doing a tarot card reading to make sure that you are more or less scrubbing away any previous energies that the cards might be holding on to. This specific incense is called Dragon Blood. Dragon's blood, dragon's blood, dragon's blood. I can show you what it looks like. Dragon's blood. So this will be slowly and calmingly burning off to the side. Eventually it will run out, but that's okay. That's okay. Now over here we have my little pouch of crystals and stones, and I have a few laid out. These are the stones that I will be using today. These 4 right here, but we will talk about them a little bit later. Just know that this one is particularly special to me. This is considered a healing stone. It's clear quartz. And if you want to cleanse or restore your cards, another thing you can do is set clear quartz on top of your deck. And it should have rejuvenating energies to it. A lot of people will put their clear quartz outside overnight to let them bathe, and generally if there's a full moon, it's even more powerful. So let's So within this deck, he's provided a little manual which has his interpretations of each card. So for this reading, I will be using both my intuition and the references in his book. Now, most of the time, references like these are based upon the general sort of interpretation of cards, tarot cards, based on the Rider-Waite deck, the original tarot deck that most people look to as sort of an origin. So anyways, that's just a little bit of background on the cards, but let's get into this deck now, where I will start by shuffling and cleansing and getting the cards ready for this reading. Okay. This deck has 78 different cards. I'm going to start by knocking the energy out of the cards. And now I'm going to shuffle the cards. They're very long, so shuffling can be quite difficult. So I'm going to use a variety of techniques to fully shuffle these cards. So generally, as you're doing a reading, you'll want to set the intention for the reading. So as I said, this will be a release and receive spread. So typically, as you're dealing and shuffling and laying out the cards, you want to be thinking about the type of reading you're about to do, sort of setting the tone and setting the energy. close to you. This can be based upon your own intuition and generally just what is calling your name. So you can take a few moments to do that as I'm placing the totems on the cards. You should be able to see each card okay. So now we have 4 different stones on each set of 2 cards. Now you can take a moment to think about which deck you would like to choose. Okay, so this is deck number 1. Number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1. This blue stone here is number 1. This amethyst deck, number 2. Number 2, number 2. Deck number 3 is the clear quartz. Number 3, number 3, number 3. Number 4 is the darkest stone in the bunch. Not sure what it's called, but I like to call it my little galaxy stone because it shimmers like a galaxy. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the order I will be reading the spreads in. So again, if you have a preference, you can select your card, your deck of cards using the timestamps below, or you can just watch the entire video. But I'm going to start with deck number 1 now. Okay. Now, I will make one note. There are reversals and upright positions for cards. So if you flip a card right side up, that's an upright position. If you flip it upside down, it's a reversal. There are different meanings for reversal cards. Sometimes it's the opposite of the upright position card. Sometimes it's a little bit different. However, a lot of tarot readers choose not to read the reversals because they believe they can get enough information from the upright position. So for this video, and for the sake of keeping it relatively simple, I will not be reading reversals, but I just wanted to put that quick note in there in case you are experienced with tarot and you are just curious as to the way I'm doing this reading. Okay. Okay. So again, this is a release and receive reading. The first card is your release card. The second card is your receive card. So I will start by doing one at a time, starting with interpretation, then reading through the book. So let me give you a closer look here. Your first card, your release card, is the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups. Now this image, it's showing 3 individuals holding their cups up high, and they're pouring it over themselves. They're celebrating with one another. They look very close, but at the same time they're being eaten by a fish. Again, here is the imagery of the card. So again, in order to release, if we're releasing this card, this Three of Cups, to me, my interpretation is that we need to find balance. We need to make sure that we are enjoying life, but we are also focusing on the more difficult aspects of it, the things that we're putting off, the things that we may not necessarily want to deal with but need to, okay? If you're thinking about numerology, a 3, it's not balanced, right? It's not an even number. So again, you want to focus on finding that balance. So again, thinking about numerology, the number 3, it's early in the timeline. If you think of the number 0, 1, 2, 3, those numbers are very early in the journey, right? It's the later, larger numbers that sort of represent the end of a journey, the completion of a journey. So the number 3 representing, maybe this is something you've not thought about before. Maybe this is new for you, this sort of balancing of different emotions, this sort of taking responsibility. That's my interpretation. So let's consult the manual. Again, this is the Three of Cups. Okay, Three of Cups. 3 merry souls celebrate their deliverance as they emerge from the inside of a fearsome sea creature. In spite of personality differences, the trio toasts their shared good fortune. What was once a dark situation has finally been overcome. Upright meaning, solution to problems, celebrating victory over hardships and merriment. Solution to problems, celebrating victory over hardships and merriment. So again, different sort of interpretations. I perceived it as being mindful of the hardships, the responsibilities, the things that might be consuming you. But again, every interpretation is different. So that is the Three of Cups. Okay, so our next card here, we have the Page of Tentacles, the Page of Tentacles, the Page of Tentacles. Now, pentacles represent things that are of the earth, physical material. So generally, they can represent wealth and money and physical attachments. They can also represent the physical body. Okay. creativity, using your skills or your energy, your talents, your interest to build and create something new and exciting, a side project. You could even learn about something, some kind of tutorials, read a book, use that creative energy, focus on the Page of Pentacles to build and create something new. Okay. Okay, so that was reading number one. Number one. Let's show both of those cards. Now let's move on to reading number two with the amethyst. This is an interesting reading, I can tell right off the bat. We have two major arcana cards. Major arcana cards represent something that is longer term, so it's a message that is invasive is probably not the right word, but something that isn't fleeting. A minor arcana card is a card that can last a day, a week. It's temporary, it's fleeting, but a major arcana card is solid, it's everlasting, and this reading has two major arcana cards. The last reading did not have any. So the first card is the Hermit. The Hermit. And the second card is the Hierophant. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Hierophant. Now this one seems a little bit more straightforward, just simply because when you look at this image, that seems like something you'd want to release, right? But anyways, I'm going to interpret them now. So, this image looks like an individual who is just simply terrified. They're shielding their face, they're coiling their body, they're sort of curled into this little ball. And below them appears to be some kind of dead fish or something that looks a little bit spooky. Clearly this individual is scared of the fish, the object below, and they're sort of hidden in this space, right? They're not out in public. They're clearly somebody who is afraid, overly cautious, not really living life because they're afraid of what's going on outside and in some cases inside. So this definitely seems like an energy you'd want to release, releasing that sort of irrational fear you may have, to find the strength and the courage to sort of face your demons. In this case, it looks like a dead fish. To sort of press on and to take baby steps if you have to, but to allow yourself the time and the space and the energy to get out there, either, sort of mentally, emotionally, or physically. But let's see what else the manual has to say about the Hermit. it means calling a friend or FaceTiming a friend or journaling, trying to reconnect with yourself emotionally, not shutting yourself out, not exiling yourself, giving yourself an opportunity to connect with others, find connection somehow. Again, it's so easy to be feeling this way right now, but my advice is just to do your best, take baby steps, find out what you can do, and work towards it, and find that balance. Find yourself a way to feel okay again. Because it will be okay. Okay, so to me, it looks like this individual, he's just sort of sitting down, and he has his hands up, sort of like he's praying, right? That's my interpretation. He has some kind of doll in his pocket, some kind of guiding light or something that he holds closely. It's something that is endearing and important to him or them. So again, it looks like this person is praying, so perhaps hoping for something, trying to connect to something, to find positivity and light in a difficult time, which would again make perfect sense with this card. So let's consult the manual. Manual is probably not the best word for this. I really don't know what else to call it. I guess booklet. The Hierophant prays for the souls of the city. His position wields more than spirituality, for religion holds a man like a doll in a pocket. Upright meanings, divine inspiration, mercy, control over spiritual needs, and conformity. So again, as a recap, release and receive. We are releasing this hermit energy, okay? We don't want to be shuttered inside. We don't want to feel exiled and isolated. We need to connect with ourselves and with others, right? So focusing on how to not be a hermit, we are releasing that energy. And in turn, we are receiving the Hierophant energy, which allows us to, I guess in some sense, find spirituality, find hope, find faith, find connection to positivity, to light, to love, to compassion. Focus on that instead. This seems like, again, such a night and day kind of reading. It seems pretty perfect to me. Again, both major arcana cards, so sort of strong, long-lasting energies, right? So let's get rid of the Hermit. Let's take on the Hierophant, get rid of that negative, isolating energy, take on the energy that is spiritual, connection building. I think that's a great reading for anyone who picked the amethyst. Alright, moving on to number three, the clear quartz, the clear crystal quartz. Let's grab that one. So, the first card here is the star, the release card. And the receive card is the Two of Pentacles. Okay. So, my interpretation of the star here is we have this individual who is pouring something into the water, right? Looks like water. Again, it's a cup. So a cup generally represents emotion. So there's something emotional that is being processed. It's flowing. It's being put into the river. Maybe because we are processing and moving on from it, getting rid of it, or because we are sort of investing in something. We are putting energy into something, right? And it's resolving and resulting in something positive. We see these stars all around. So it's a good card, as far as I'm concerned, my interpretation of it. However, since this is a card that we want to release, we need to figure out the elements that we don't want to be holding on to, right? So perhaps in this sense, we don't want to be investing unnecessary energy. We don't want to be focusing too much on this emotional aspect. There's something in your life that maybe needs to be put on pause right now. Maybe we need to be focusing on something else. Again, this is generally a good card, but when we have to think about the release and the receive, there's a reason that it's pulled, and then we need to think about the elements that we don't want to include. So again, it's possible that maybe there is this flowing of energy that shouldn't be happening. Maybe we're ruminating too much, focusing on too much of one thing when we need to be focusing on another, not giving proper attention to something else. That would be my interpretation. Let's check the booklet to see the interpretation by the artist, the tarot artist. A maiden sits on the shore and pours water into a crystal pool. 7 stars shine behind her, bringing hope to the lands below. Upright meanings, hope, sign of good things, renewed faith, fulfillment, and life's pleasures. Again, it's possible that in this moment, we're holding on to hope that we should be releasing, maybe for the time being, maybe forever. It's something that's not serving you in this moment, so we need to focus less on putting in all of that energy to something that we are not getting anything back from in return, and focusing on something else. Okay, so the next card, the receive card, is the 2 of Pentacles. Okay, so Pentacles, again, relating to something that is of the earth, so something that is physical, material. Could be money, could be a house, could be something you physically touch, could be your physical body. I realize now I'm on the 3rd deck, and I've been talking about all of these other cards, and I forget that if you are checking the timestamp, then you may have missed other information. So again, Pentacle, I just gave the definition of it. So that is the meaning behind that. Now, 2, it is a 2 of Pentacles in numerology that reflects balance, right? There are sort of 2 weights that are evenly distributed, so a balancing act, and that's what this image looks like to me. It's a woman who is balancing multiple things, but she's doing it well. It almost looks like she's dancing, so there's sort of an effortlessness to it. It's something she's comfortable with, taking on all of these new things. So that would be my interpretation of it, wanting to focus on new projects, taking on new things in this time, in this moment, finding the balance between your now and your next thing. So what's happening in the future? What can you look forward to? What can you focus on that you're not currently focusing on? But let's check the booklet to see. The 2 of Pentacles. The belly dancer performs under the light of the crescent moon, balancing 2 silvery pentacles against the sky. Although her moves seem effortless, they come with practice and concentration. Upright meanings, balance and harmony with effort, handling multiple situations. So again, I stick to my claim here. I think it's about receiving this kind of energy and taking on new projects, balancing. It's a balancing act, right? But with time, with practice, this is a skill that can be learned. And there's no better time to start than now. So releasing this energy of holding on to hope, putting energy into things that we are not receiving back in return. That could be people, things, ideas, projects, work of some kind. We're pouring a lot in and we're not getting a lot out, and that's just not serving us right now. So if there's something in your life that you can release that is draining, emotionally draining, again, the cups, these resemble was reading number 333. And now we are going to move on to our very last card deck in this set here. Let's grab it. Again, I love this stone because it's so shimmery. It's hard to tell right now, but again, I call it my little galaxy stone. Okay, last one. This is a strong one, a strong one, a strong one. Wow. Both cards show swords. Swords represent strength and power, resilience. They're incredible cards. And to get two in a row like that, it's crazy. So this first card we have the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords, that is our release card. And our receive card is the Four of Swords. Four of Swords. Release and receive. Okay, so starting with the Eight of Swords. Okay, so to me it looks like there's an individual looking out their window, and outside of their window they see lots of dangerous, sharp-looking swords. And it almost looks like the moon is influencing them. There's this power coming from the moon, and this individual is being affected by it. So being affected by things going on in the world, this sort of natural energy. And at first glance, it almost looks like this person is sort of trapped, right? It looks like these swords are blocking this person or keeping them in, but really that's not the case to me. Because again, this person is powerful and responsive to everything going on in the world, so these swords could actually be used in a positive way. Let's see what the manual has to say about the Eight of Swords. Okay. Bound by the trance of sleep, a woman is beckoned by the deviant moon. Eight swords threaten her from below as she is pulled from her window. The moon's influence over her dreams will soon come to an end, for daybreak is near. Okay, so yeah, sort of having that scary feeling of entrapment. But again, you come into it, the morning is coming, change is coming. This sort of internal power you have, it's coming, right? It can be turned into a positive thing. Upright meanings, not so great. Bondage, being controlled by outside forces, censorship, and restriction. And honestly, that's okay. This is a release card. We're getting rid of this energy anyway. So, again, my interpretation sort of changes a little bit after reading that, but not so much really. But because, well, I would interpret this as, I always think that every card has positive aspects to it. That's just how I feel about these cards in general. But again, this is a release energy, so we're focusing on something to get rid of. So focusing on not feeling stuck, not feeling controlled, not feeling entrapped by these swords, these items, these things that are keeping us down. That is an energy we don't want to hold on to. Again, we heard that this person is influenced and upset and scared during the nighttime, but in the morning daybreak comes and that changes, right? So focusing more on that positive energy, what's coming next. Don't focus on the bad, on the things that you feel are keeping you out of control of your life. Take control of your life, see the positive, move past these moments that make you feel stuck and down and upset. Release that energy and welcome some new energy. Okay, receive. We are receiving the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords. The Four of Swords. Okay, so just a quick little side story. I do readings all the time. what rest and rejuvenation looks like for you. So focusing more on that, and let's check to see what the booklet says. Four of Swords. Okay. The girl in the ground is dreaming again. Her visions illuminate the tomb and keep 4 roses in bloom. 3 swords are plunged into the earth to mark her place of sleep. A 4th sword lies buried beside her. Upright meanings, re-energizing oneself, rest, retreat, inverted thought. So pretty good. So yes, again, as a recap, we have the 8 of Swords. That is the release card. We are releasing any energy that leaves us to feel trapped, stuck, suffocated, surrounded, living in fear of something, feeling like we don't have the strength. Release that energy and realize that you do have the strength and you have the power within to accomplish challenges, obstacles, anything that comes in your way. So release that energy. We don't want it. And we're going to receive the 4 of Swords. The 4 of Swords. So this is really tapping into giving your body and your mind what it needs. So focusing on whatever it is that rest means to you. So it could be dreaming and being creative. It could be sleeping. It could be, I don't know, it could be so many things. But focusing on that energy, not feeling like you need to do a million things. You need to do X, Y, Z on this day, on that day, on whatever day. Understanding that you need rest, relaxation. You need to give your body and mind a break. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Okay. So that is the final reading. Let's reorganize the cards and put them back out just so we can look at them one more time. Okay. So again, we had 4 decks. We had deck 1, 2, 3, and 4, each with a different message for releasing and receiving. Releasing and receiving. Okay, and I hope you guys enjoyed your readings. As I mentioned throughout this video, tarot is something that is new to me. It's something I'm really excited about and I like learning about. But I've only been doing this for a short time. So again, everything I know is that interpretations and intuition, it's different for everybody. So I've personally watched a lot of YouTube videos where people interpret their cards differently, and I think it's just this mastery of what you feel connected to and what the cards are telling you, and I think that's a really cool thing. And I'm excited to grow that intuition and to feel more comfortable with all of the cards. This is a really great practice for me as well, so I had fun doing this, and hopefully I don't have to make too many cuts from outdoor noise and whatever happens in the daytime. But let me know what your experience is with tarot or tarot cards or spirituality. I see tarot cards as something that's just a really incredible form of empowerment and sort of personal development, looking inwards and using these cards to interpret what's going on in your own life. It can be a very personal thing. I've done readings that made me cry because it just resonated so much. They're not always going to, but sometimes it's a really moving and powerful experience. I remember back a little while ago, I was doing a reading for my friend, and I pulled a card for her. It resonated. It seems like the perfect card for her, and then I wanted to do another reading for her just to continue the practice. And as you may have noticed, there's a lot of shuffling and dealing and cutting, right? So it's the 1 in 78 chance you're going to pull the same card, and I pulled the exact same card for her. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. I must have not done a good job shuffling. So I shuffled again, mixed up all of the cards, and I picked it by So I just select